Hey everyone, welcome to the Divorce Dispatcher, where we dive into the wildest, most unbelievable stories of divorce, breakups, and family drama. Stories that'll leave you speechless. Today we have the story of Thomas.
Melissa W., 34. Jason M., 36. I never wanted to be the woman who says, I cheated, and definitely not the one who says, I did it twice. But I also never imagined I'd be married to someone who treated me like a 1950s housewife, expecting me to cook every meal, clean every mess, pack every bag, raise the children alone, and doing all of this with a smile. All of this, while he contributed nothing but demands, disrespect, and the silence treatment. This isn't a story about excuses. It's a story about neglect. And what happens when someone finally breaks under the weight of being everything to everyone, and nothing to the person they married. Jason and I have been married for over a decade. We have 3 kids, a house, a life that, on paper, probably looked great from the outside. But inside our home, things were far from equal. Jason believed he was the breadwinner. He worked hard, sure, but once he clocked out, he expected me to take care of every other thing without fail. Dinner had to be on the table by 5:30 sharp. If I was late, I'd get eye rolls and passive-aggressive comments like,
Must be nice to nap all day.
he always belittled all the work I had to keep his life and the children's lives content, saying stuff like,
You only have one job. You get to stay home and relax anytime you want during the day.
he never lifted a finger at home, never cleaned, never packed a single school lunch, never picked up a sock off the floor or put his plate in the sink. Everything, and I mean everything, always fell on me. And if something wasn't perfect, he'd get mean. He'd call me lazy, ungrateful. He'd say I was lucky to be a stay-at-home mom. He could do my work easily. He acted like it was some kind of vacation. When he was mad, things were done to his expectation. He would call me out my name, sometimes in front of our kids, and I let it slide, over and over again. For the sake of peace, for the hope that maybe one day he'll change. I was cooking, cleaning, organizing, coordinating, bathing, soothing, driving, shopping, folding, and still being told I wasn't doing enough. And somewhere along the line, I just stopped being seen. He hadn't told me he loved me in over 3 years. I hadn't gotten a compliment in nearly a decade. Not even a, you look nice today. Just criticism. When we were intimate at the same scheduled time 4 times a week, he would only make sure his needs were satisfied and then go to sleep. I asked him for help, for partnership, for basic kindness and intimacy. His response,
This is your job. You agreed to this lifestyle. I pay the bills. You take care of the house and kids.
inside I would say to myself, but that is not what I signed up for. I signed up for us to help each other when it was needed, and for us to show love and respect to each other's needs. I was too afraid to say it out loud to him. I felt lost and trapped. I realized that all I was to him was a housekeeper, cook, and sexual release for him, even though I had a ring. The first affair started in the most unexpected way, with someone we both knew, one of Jason's close friends. He came over often, helped Jason with yard work, talked sports, and brought his kids around. One night, after a group dinner, I was cleaning up in the kitchen when he came in to grab his coat. Out of nowhere, he leaned in and kissed me. He told me that I looked so beautiful tonight and that he couldn't help himself. I didn't kiss him back. I didn't tell him to stop either. I was in shock but smiling on the inside. The next morning he texted. He asked me if I was okay, said he'd been feeling something for a while, that he couldn't ignore it anymore when he could see that something was making me sad. I should have ignored it. I didn't. The messages turned into late-night conversations, long talks about our lives, our marriages, our disappointments. He told me I was strong, sexy and intelligent, said things Jason hadn't said in years. I secretly met up with him at a hotel. It was magical. I was getting sexually satisfied and doing things I loved. That began the start of a physical affair. Having the physical with the emotional was everything I'd been missing. Eventually, I told Jason. I couldn't lie to him anymore. His friend confessed to his wife. We owned up to it. His friend decided to work it out with his wife, and they moved away. Jason and I never spoke to his friend again. Jason was crushed, furious. He told me I was a whore and treated me as such in the bedroom. But he didn't leave. He said I could, but the kids and money would stay with him. I was too scared to leave. I told him that I still loved him, that I wanted to fix it. He did cry at one point, and that is when I begged him to let me stay. I promised him I'd never do it again. I meant it. Questions to Divorce Dispatcher. Divorce Dispatcher, how do you even begin to rebuild trust when you've broken it? And how do you stay in a marriage where your partner still treats you like you're invisible?
Divorce Dispatcher is here, you rang. Melissa, let's be real. Cheating doesn't just come out of nowhere. It usually walks through a door left wide open by years of neglect and emotional starvation. You did express your feelings and let those feelings simmer for too long. You didn't have the strength at that time to end the marriage. What you chose to do was wrong, but that doesn't mean Jason was right. Marriage is work, but it isn't servitude. When someone is carrying the entire mental load of a home, raising kids alone while married, and still being told it's not enough, that's a fast track to resentment and collapse. You can't rebuild trust without mutual accountability. If he wants the marriage to survive, he has to own the role he played in making you feel like a ghost in your own life. Going back to the status quo will not make for a healthy future for you, Jason, or your children.
3 years later, I still hadn't been told I love you, still hadn't been touched with affection, still did every single thing alone. And then, someone new noticed me. This time it wasn't physical, but it was deeper. I was out at my child's school event. One of the school staff members I saw every day when I dropped off the children or went for school meetings. He told me I mattered, that I was more than a meal planner or a cleaning service. He said I deserved joy. I looked forward to school picks up and drops. We spoke daily. We never kissed, never touched. But the emotional connection was instant and undeniable. When I would be super happy when Jason came home, he began to notice. I eventually decided to tell Jason why. Who was putting a smile on my face? This time around, he didn't yell. He didn't cry. He just shut down. Now he drinks. He barely talks to me and doesn't want to be intimate anymore. He ignores the kids. He sulks and acts like he's the only one who ever hurt in this house. I've apologized 1,000 times. I own what I did. But he refuses to see how his choice to not get help impacts us both. He refused to go to counseling like I asked. The way he dismissed me, disrespected me, devalued me, brought us here. I knew my own issues, and I know we are forever broken now. Divorce Dispatcher, what am I supposed to do when the man I married acts like he's the only victim? And am I hurting the kids more by staying in this mess?
Divorce Dispatcher is here, you rang. Melissa, here's the hard truth. Kids don't benefit from parents staying together for them if the environment is cold, hostile, or emotionally vacant. They notice everything, and you've tried. You've owned your mistakes. But rebuilding takes two people, not one dragging the other across the finish line. Staying in a house full of silence, bitterness, and resentment teaches your children that this is what love looks like. And they deserve better. So do you.
I don't want to leave. Truly, I don't. I love our history, as bad as that may sound. Our home, the life we built. But I can't ignore how far we are gone. I'm not even sad anymore. I'm just numb. Since Jason wouldn't do anything but ignore me, I've started making plans. Quietly. Saving money by babysitting other people's kids. I began researching my options. I don't want to blow up my life, but I'm not going to keep bleeding for someone who hasn't even said thank you in 10 years. Divorce Dispatcher, if I walk away, what happens legally? Will my affairs be used against me in court? And how do I protect myself when he starts telling everyone I'm the villain?
Divorce dispatcher is here, you rang? Let's get to it. Infidelity in court. In most states, especially no-fault ones, cheating isn't weighted heavily unless it affects the kids. Focus on your parenting history. That's what judges care about. Custody. If you've been the primary caregiver, documented, consistent, and responsible, you have the edge, especially if he's drinking or emotionally unavailable. Reputation. You can't control what he says, but your actions, your records, and your integrity will speak louder over time. Melissa, you're not leaving because you gave up. You're leaving because you finally realized you deserve peace over problems.
It's been a year since I left. I moved into a small rental with the kids. Nothing fancy, but it's calm, our safe place. At first, Jason did what I expected, told everyone I cheated on the entire marriage, painted me as the monster who couldn't handle being a mother and wife. But slowly, that stopped working because people started seeing the full story, looking at his behavior as a father, and when he got remarried right away. His new younger wife left him 6 months later. Jason didn't show up to school events, missed pickups, and stopped calling the kids. I never retaliated. I just kept showing up, doing the work, being present. And you know what? I'm okay. Actually, I'm good. The kids are thriving. I sleep better. I laugh more. I've started dating again. I am taking it slowly, cautiously. I went to therapy to learn self-confidence and love. I'm learning how to live without the weight of someone who never saw me. And I just wanted to say this to anyone out there, stuck in a marriage like mine. You are not selfish for wanting to be loved. You are not wrong for needing more. You are not a villain for choosing to heal and find self-love. If I can do it, you can too.
Divorce dispatcher signing off. I am so happy that you are doing better now in your new life. This is a valuable lesson to us all.